So it's day one of the Dublin Tech Summit, and joining Evoke.ie now is Johanna Maska, who is a former White House aide to President Barack Obama and currently CEO of the Global Situation Room. Hey, you're very welcome. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you for having me.
So
this is active. There's a lot going on in Dublin this week.
Well, you were here for something with Enterprise Ireland, and you've been tied into the Tech Summit as well.
It's perfect.
But I want to roll back just because you have somewhat of an impressive CV. You were 8 years working for President Barack Obama. I suppose orchestrating his brand throughout that time.
Yeah.
But bring it back, because you just started off in the early days when nobody really knew who he was.
Exactly. So I started at the beginning of the campaign, 2007 in Iowa. We never expected to win. We thought we would come in third in Iowa and then go on for, we ended up winning in Iowa, and then I went on to South Carolina. We won in South Carolina, and I went on nationwide, and I was with him on election night, went on to inauguration, and right into the White House for 6 years in the White House, 8 years total. Left in 2015, but the last time I was in Ireland was actually with President Obama on his visit.
Fantastic. Yeah. And why did you sign up with him? You saw him in a speech, was it in 2004?
2004. So I think that's when a lot of us politicos in America were introduced to him. Those of us who pay really close attention, he was introducing John Kerry at the Democratic National Convention in 2004. And he talked about, the future of America. And Galesburg, Illinois, my little hometown, had lost Maytag. It had moved to Mexico. And, he talked about jobs and competitiveness. And so I signed on with him from day one. I was ready to work for President Obama. At that point, Senator Obama, hoping, we had a fleeting chance and opportunity of a lifetime to work with him for 8 years.
You were director of Press Advance.
Yeah.
So just describe.
And at the time, I was like, "What's Press Advance?" Right? Like I had done communication, so I had no idea. But as it turns out, it was a brilliant position. I got to really set the stage for what you saw unfold in history. So I was traveling with him with the White House Press Corps. We talked earlier, we have some similar friends in the White House Press Corps, but I worked with them very closely on covering the president, and so all of the things you saw unfold, I saw that and more. A lot of times, if we were doing an Afghanistan trip, I was the one in the bunker planning for that trip.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a lot of times drinking from a fire hose. But more than that, like I said, serving the American public, getting to do that role, it was a real privilege, and seeing the world that way.
What would you say are the characteristics he has that made him a winner and made him?
It was his hope and his enthusiasm, his optimism, and the inclusive vision that he had for America that really drove me. It's one of the things that we continue. My firm, it's former diplomats. We have former ambassadors who are part of our firm. And we really do believe in that global good, global trade, which was an important element of President Obama's objectives. And then global risk, because there's always risk with anything you do. For me, I was so driven to see him have every ability to enact that vision for America that I found myself doing anything from hauling porta potties to getting to fly around Petra on helicopters.
Was there a time that it was really difficult to make sure his vision became a reality? Was there difficult moments, or was there anything that stood out?
I mean, for those of us who were there at the very early days, we remember when it was Barack Hussein Obama that there was no chance he was going to win. I remember having people be like, "Ha ha ha! Good luck with that one." And in fact, there were a lot of us who were told, "You'll never work in politics again." You remember, there's some people who think you need to wait your turn in politics in America. And we weren't waiting our turn. And so it was a very unlikely vision. But that's part of what I'm talking about at the Dublin Tech Summit. I was watching the last campaign from afar, and I was saying, unfortunately, I think there's a real enthusiasm gap here, and I don't know if it's going to go the way people think it's going to go. I was teaching at USC Annenberg, and my husband's a journalist, and he said, Johanna, every poll would have to be wrong. Well, it turns out we can't rely on polls, which is one of the things we learned very early in Iowa. And there was an enthusiasm gap, and I believe that enthusiasm gap is due to a lot of the grassroots organizing and the engagement that we did. Similarly, when you're looking at brands, a lot of people think they can build a digital brand and that's going to have real resonance with people. And I think that digital brands can crumble quickly. And so, to build a long-term sustainable brand, whether it's a brand in politics or a brand in technology, you need to engage with your consumers and know them and have lines of communication open. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the office strategy that we had. We had offices all over Iowa. All these people now, it's like shutting down offices, everything online. We had offices all over Iowa. And we had people in classrooms of kids who couldn't vote, talking to them about the electoral college, about the voting process, to really, engage people. And I think it's an important element that a lot of times is overlooked when people highlight the digital strategy of President Obama.
You are CEO now of the Global Situation Room.
Yes.
So you help businesses in crisis communications?
We do. We work with businesses, organizations, and individuals. We work with them on strategy and execution of visions. So what's a lot of fun is it's all sorts of different projects. So whether it's a global good project, one that we're going to slowly but surely start and roll out, is we're working on a new campaign for the Equal Rights Amendment to finally get women in the U.S. Constitution.
Excellent.
Or if it's a company or organization that's maybe not thinking as proactively as they could about their crisis or the crisis that they may face, and having plans and preparedness in place. Those are the fun projects that get to keep me motivated.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you so much for talking to us at the Tech Summit.
My pleasure.
I hope you enjoy your couple of days here in Ireland, and we wish you the best of luck with the global situation.
Well, I am so grateful. I can't wait to get back to Dublin again.